Have you ever thought about who makes your wine? And we're not just talking about the winery, but the actual wine maker. What's their story? How does that affect the wine you're drinking? Well, we went to a custom crush facility in San Francisco to talk about diversity in the wine industry with Theodora Lee, who is the owner of Theopolis Vineyards. Now, she says she's one of very few African-American vintners in the country and among an even smaller crowd of Black women who are making wine. We also talked to Fern Stroud, who founded Black Vines. That's an event designed to showcase the work of African-American vintners. From KTVU, this is Bay Area People. I'm Claudine Wall. We're actually in a crush facility that is in San Francisco because, Theo, that is where you bring your grapes that are grown in Mendocino. And you are a lawyer by day and a winemaker by day and night. Correct. and all weekend. When you were getting into this industry, did you see a lot of people who looked like you?
Absolutely not. I mean, my law firm mentors were white men. One of my mentors was married to a physicist, and they had a vineyard in Hillsburg, so she and her husband did it together. Mostly it was couples. No one looked like me. However, as I planted, I came across this organization called the Association of African American Vintners. At that time, there were 6 members. And because I was growing grapes, then I was asked to join the membership, and then from there I became the secretary and did a lot of.
You were the 7th member, though.
Yeah, I was the 7th.
Huge.
Yeah, I was the 7th member, and basically now I'm one of the founding members of the organization.
Do you know how many vintners are now members?
Well, we have expanded beyond just vintners because Mac McDonald of Vision Cellars was like the granddaddy of the African American vintners, and he was one of the founders along with Dr. Ernie Bates, who had Black Coyote. If you try to look up Black Coyote today, there is no Black Coyote. The Estrelita family, the Sterling family, had Estrelita vineyards. They were the largest African American grower and vintner. They had 2 locations. Unfortunately, today they're no longer in business.
It's a hard business to be in.
Yeah, it's a hard business to do it. That's why I don't give up my day job.
Well, Fern, I want to bring you in terms of Theo's story and saying I was the 7th member of this organization. And I know 8 years ago you started Black Vines because you wanted to. Tell me what you wanted to do. You wanted to introduce wine to the community.
Yes, I wanted to provide a space where Black wines could be featured, and that is solely what you had available to you at the event. The partnership with the African American Vintners was just kind of a natural segue into creating this Black Vines event. So I reached out to actually Vance Sharp, and got in contact with Lou Garcia. Mm-hmm. And Lou actually brought down, I want to say, about 4 or 5 different winemakers' wines to Black Vines for us to pour our first year. So it's literally just trying to be a vehicle or a platform for people to be introduced to the Black winemakers that are right in our backyard and abroad now.
Is it also you were saying education about wine. Wine can be intimidating. Wine tastings can be intimidating. Yeah. You were talking about how going to a wine tasting, you kind of really, really know what you don't know.
Yes.
And it makes you self-conscious.
Very much so. So, yeah, I guess the other part of the Black Vines experience was to provide a safe space to try out tasting without feeling intimidated or being okay with asking the questions, and it's totally inclusive. So it's not just for Black people; it is for everyone.
It's just a way to introduce someone to a part of an industry they might not have been introduced to. Because Theo, your wines are sold direct. So if someone walks into a Bevmo or a Safeway, they can't find your wine, and so they may not be able to hear the story or to understand what's out there without an event like Black Vines.
That's absolutely. In fact, I think Theopolis Vineyards, remember, I was not making wine until 2014. That was my first bottling. And so that very first year, I participated in Black Vines. It has been a great vehicle to showcase our wines. And you have a lot of people, not just black people, but once they taste the wine, they become fans. And but for organizations like Black Vines, I wouldn't have had the success that I've had in this business.
So our listeners can't see that we have wine in front of us and tasting it, and yes, I am a fan. But what does your wine say about you?
Well, I always tell people that, if you know me, I'm big, bold, and brassy. Okay, and my wines so reflect. I grow and make one of the biggest red wines on the face of the earth, and that's a Petite Syrah. It's big, it's bold, it's peppery, it's spicy. It goes with a big steak. I'm a Texan. My wines are made in California, but they have a flavor of all things big, like being from Texas.
Both of you guys have expressed why you think it's so important to have diversity in winemaking. Why do you, when we're talking to all the different winemakers that you talk to, what do you think they bring to the table that's important for people to have in their glass?
The thing that's most important is variety. And you cut yourself off from variety, and not just variety, just the experience of having multiple flavors, multiple tastes. Everyone brings their own particular touch to what they do.
And Theo, your story, I tell you, as I'm drinking your wine, I'm thinking of you as the little kid on the tractor with your dad in Texas. And do you think it's important for people to know the story behind the wine they're drinking, and the story behind the winemaker?
I think my story is unique, as is every winemaker's story. I think the story behind the winemaker makes you enjoy the wine even more. I have found that if I send someone else, I have a wine daughter who's pretty good at selling my wine, but if I go and tell my story, my wine flies off the shelf.
They're invested in you.
They're invested in me. If you notice the bottle, I know you can't see it on the podcast, but I'm Cleopatra, Queen of the Vineyard, very much like Cleopatra. And that was my Greek name when I pledged my sorority in college. And then they saw me on the tractor and started calling me, with the Texas bouffant, Cleopatra, Queen of the Vineyard. So when I talk the story and tell all about the little pieces, it's fascinating. And so people want to drink your wine, and thank goodness the wine is good. Yeah. So once they taste it, they get hooked.
At any point did you say I should not have done this?
Well, you know what? I'm not a quitter. I'm in it for the long haul, but I didn't give up my day job.
When you say regular people, Fern, you've talked about friends that you've had where all of a sudden they joined a wine club and they didn't. Mm-hmm. Well, not only did they not tell you, but they didn't share. Maybe.
Yeah. I had one get some of Theo's wine, and I'm like, wait. You had this in the house and didn't even tell me, and I shared my bottle with you. What's going on here? But it's just so amazing to see someone's whole view change. I have non-wine drinkers come to Black Vines just to check it out. They end up saying, "Oh wow, I really like that. I didn't even know I liked wine." But again, it's that variety, providing the ability for people to experience things that they wouldn't otherwise experience, and also giving them the opportunity to connect directly with the winemaker. I think that's so important.
So you started this around Black History Month. Mm-hmm. What is the future? What is the winter future for the African American community?
I think the sky's the limit. I think that with the continuous evolution of technology, coupled with the ability to connect, Theo can literally talk to a winemaker now in real time in Florida on her tractor as she's going through the headaches of trying to till the property.
There is community.
Yeah, there is community, and it really is wonderful because there's a African American woman from France who has her own champagne. I didn't know that, but I had the chance to meet her because of organizations like Black Vines. There is the first African winemaker in South Africa. Mm-hmm. I had a chance to meet her through organizations like Black Vines. It builds community. it just makes your life more rich to be part of a community.
And technology is an amazing thing that can connect us. All right, Theo
Absolutely.
and Fern, this has been a great talk, and I like podcasts that come with wine, so that also helps. We'll toast to that.
Oh, we'll toast to that. Yeah.
Thank you. You can find more on this episode and go through our Bay Area People archives on KTVU.com. Just look for the Bay Area People section on the homepage. That's where you can also find web links and send us your ideas. Thanks for listening to Bay Area People.